So relative date, as we said, that we can take previous, last, next, today, tomorrow, like that for each quarter, month, weeks. And then range of date is going to be like start date and end date. So you can select those dates and accordingly it will come. But the problem over here is because it is a fixed range, whatever date you select, it will always be same over here. That date will not change. So for example, if I say apply, so whatever dates I have selected over there, it will always show me the same data. Whether you refresh your data and all, new dates will not add, or any date out of that date range will not come into the data. So that's a kind of limitation over here. Then starting date, it will show anything or everything after this date. Ending date will go like everything before this date. Special is kind of ignoring your nulls and taking all the values. It's all that it's on that side, right? Over here you have option, like when you say like year, quarter, month, week or days, you have option to take the relative date. Basically, if you want, you can take today's date as a uh, baseline. Basic against that, it will do your previous day, new day, or uh, next date. As soon as you drag any other data type, these filters are going to be little different. This is happens when your data type is of date. I'll cancel this. We'll go ahead and let me remove it and we'll drag it once again. If I go by range of dates, it is part of the relative date only. If you see the range of dates, it's the same thing. The only difference is like it is by default selected here. Earlier it was selected by default. So the same pop-up with different selection. If you go by year, it will automatically show you like years. And if you take any other fields, maybe like individual dates, it is going to give you the exact values, right? In case of date, we don't take any of these numbers like count, distinct, minimum, maximum, because that won't help you much. Though you can use it depending on your requirement, but these things will not help much. In case of date, we generally go with ranges or maybe year, quarter, month, these type of formats, right? Hope this is very clear, right? Okay, fine. Let me move ahead. Now, I said I gave one scenario when I said that let's say I want to see the data of last 7 days, right? So last 7 days means I only want to see the last 7 days data. That means if you drag this order date onto filters, let's say relative date or range of dates, and you select relative last 7 days, that's what I want to see. So though in my data, like it's data until 1st of November, yeah, I think November 31st only or December 1st. That's the maximum date. So let me just type over here months. Because it is 2019, let me type at least 10 months. Last 10 months. Month is selected and last 10 months. So if I'll do that, you will get only last 10 months data. Now my question is, can we achieve the same task using parameters? If yes, what should we do? As of now, we used filter, right? But I want to achieve the same task using parameters. What should we do for that?
So we have to create a field.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, Then you have to include that field into that parameter.
Right. But generally we do opposite. I mean, first of all, we create parameter and then we create a calculated field and use parameter in the calculated field.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So first of all, our parameter. So parameter, we can go ahead and create the parameter. And what we want, we set 7 months over here, right? Or 7 days or whatever number of days we want to see. So what I will say, let me give the date parameters like, or maybe months. Let me months input, where we want to say that how many months we want user to input. Correct? We'll take it as an integer, and then we'll say, let's say if you want to give the range, you can do that also. Or if you do it like this, just the integer, user can enter any number over there. So I'll say okay. As of now, I will not give any range. We'll say show parameter. So over here I can enter any number. It will always be in months because I have just taken a name as month. We need to treat it like months only. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and create new calculated field. Let me remove this filter first of all, so that we'll get the complete data. Now over here I will say month filter, and then we'll take, let's say if parameters, why if, let's take direct input from parameter. What we want, we want, okay, we want to add one filter wherein I want to take this 10 as an input, and basis this I want to show my data, right? So I will say if order date is greater than, sorry, is less than, how are we going to get the past date? So in order to compare, let's say I'm giving 10 months from now, right? My ordered, the data which I want to see, that data should be greater than or equal to the date from 10 months from now. So that date will be greater than or equal to, understand this logic, right? Why we are taking greater than or equal to, let's say date add or date diff, whichever you want to take. We want months, the interval how we want, interval we want -10, and then the date. So date will be today's date. Does this make sense? Or any question in this formula what we have written, the comparison?
So date add, so it is taking the month of the order date. No, it's date add, it's taking the month of today's date.
Correct. And from that it is
And
doing -10.
-10, okay.
Mhm. If you take date diff, you can take 10. I have just written like date add. So I have taken -10. And then for all these situations, I want it to be maybe 1, my true values, else I want my false values, and then end the condition. Right? Any confusion? Or it looks clear?
Yeah, clear.
Right. I'll say apply. Okay. And this month filter, because it is 0, 1, but I don't want it to be a kind of a measure. So I'll say either convert this into discrete. I believe this is already, it's not discrete. It's coming as blue. Okay. That means it is a discrete number. Okay. So we can directly drag it into filters over here, and we will get two values. What we need is one, all my true values. So as soon as you do that, you will always get the true values over here. Now if it is 10 months. If it is 8, it will show you 8 months. Did something happen? Okay. No. I think I did something wrong. Let me look into the date month filter. Okay, guys, just one thing here. I have written as minus 10 over here. It's fixed, right? It's kind of hard coded value. I am supposed to take this value from my parameter. Getting right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, that's why it is not working. So it will be 1, or you can take minus 1 into your parameter. Parameter is what? Months input. Right. So minus 2, you don't get any data. Minus 5, just 1 month's data. 28th of December to 29th of December, just 2 days. If you go for 6, last 6, then you get some data. Similarly, you can go for last 16 months, you will get a little bit more data. So that's how you can give user a flexibility that whatever data they want to see, they can filter it out accordingly using parameters, right? Now, generally we get a requirement on top of this that we want to give a flexibility to users so that they can select start date and end date, right? And accordingly, they should get the data, right? Over there, they will get the calendar and they can select their start date and end date, and then they will get the data. That's a requirement. I mean, generally we get. So any idea like how we are going to kind of give start date as a calendar? Over there they can select a date, and then they will get another maybe parameter. Over there they can select a date as a end date, and then they can get the data. Yes. How should we proceed for that?
For that, you need we have to select that range
No. So,
and
but what was happening over here as soon as I took the range, right? It was hard coded to that. I mean, if I do it like this will be kind of hard coded. I can't change it.
yeah, two
It's a
parameters.
fixed range. Yes.
So put two parameters.
Right. So that's the option with us now. We'll go ahead with two parameters. And out of those parameters, we'll define our start date and end date. So we'll go ahead and create parameters. We'll say maybe start date. Because this is going to be a calendar format, we need to take the date. So we'll take date, and then I'll just keep it as it is right now, the start date. We'll create a copy and we'll call it as
End date.
end date. We'll show both of these dates in the view, right? So you got your end date and basically like this. Your start date calendar, and then you are getting your end date calendar. Now, whatever dates we select over here, how can we make sure that the data which we get according to this date range, start date and end date? How can we make sure that our data gets filtered basis these two dates what we select here? Apart from this, see, if you go here, edit parameter, you have some features like current value is this because that is what we selected. Then values when workbook open. So you want to show the default date that what should be there. Then display format. In case you go for maybe range, you can give the minimum and maximum date. So minimum, maybe you can restrict, like if it is start date and like the start date, the minimum data you got only for 2000, I believe 16. So you can select 2000, January 2016. So users will not be able to select any date prior to that. You can restrict it. Same goes with maximum, because like you will never have a date of 2020, sorry 2022, or maybe in this scenario like you don't have any data related to 2020. So you can just select one particular kind of maximum date, and users will not be allowed to select a date anything from or after January 31st in this case. If you do it, you still get the calendar, but all other places it is restricted. You cannot go beyond January 2020. See, it's not going. And same goes with if you go for January 2016, you cannot go prior to that. So this is how we have kind of restricted our start date. Same thing, we can do it for our end date too. We can restrict the condition, restrict the dates so that it will give you a appropriate number, whichever you select into minimum and maximum. Okay, so that's all about the parameter settings or values. But yes, I'll go back to my question. How can we make sure that whatever data we get in the visualization is between our start date and end date? What should we apply here?
Mm, I couldn't get.
Any idea, any clue?
Parameter and so
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
you have to bring that order date in that column and
Right. So, I mean, one thing I would say, one golden rule, whenever we have a parameter, we really need to bind this with the calculated fields, number one. If you want to restrict our database's parameters, we need to bind these parameters with a calculated field as a step number one. And in step number two, we need to put those flags basis the field what we create. We need to add those filters over here or flags over here on the filters, right? This is the task which we will be doing in all scenarios wherever you want to filter your data basis parameters. So because we have defined the range of start date and end date, right? Now again, another thing, let's say you are going to create calculated field basis your order date, but you are bringing your sales date over here, there would be conflict, right? So what I mean, let's say you have sales date in the data, or a ship date, not sales date. It's a ship date, and you create your calculated field basis order date, there would be some conflict because The values of order date and ship date are not same for each record. It is different for different records. So that's why whatever date you drag here, and if you want to use that as a filter, then take the same, I mean these parameters with the same date in the calculated field. What I mean, I'll create that calculated field. I will name it as date range. And here, if you are taking your order date, right, make sure that this is your business logic, that you want to apply this date range onto order date, not the ship date. Because if I'm applying on order date, I will definitely get some different records. When I say different records, basically whatever range I'll be selecting here, I will definitely have some records out of that range. Fine. So we need to be sure, because it happens in some scenarios and we generally get confused. So as of now, I'll just show you. I'll take order date only here, and we'll say if my order date is greater than or equal to my start date parameter, and order date is less than or equal to my end date. Fine. Order date is going to be lie between start date and end date. We have taken equal to also, so in case there is a same date, still you will get that record. Then we want to show it 1, else we'll show it as 0. Same pattern. And end your condition. Correct? Just the one liner condition, and I believe we are good. So we'll say apply, OK, and we'll take that date range filter onto filters card. We'll select 1, and we are going to the records. We are going to get the records accordingly. So over here, if you see, I have 2020 and I have 2019. I'm getting the data. Now let's say if I go ahead and select with an end date, let's say if I select January or maybe December 31st. See, you are still getting 2020. Do you agree why we are getting it? Or do you think it is wrong? Yes. Any questions here, guys? We have 2019 and 2020 both in the data, whereas I've selected only 2019 and 2019 in the start date and end date. Is it correct or this is wrong?
It's a fixed value given or no?
Fixed value for?
The dates, end date and start date.
No, so what I did, for start date I have fixed my start and end, right? The minimum and maximum value. But for end date I have not done that. I can select anything in the end date calendar. Yeah, Lakshmi, any inputs? Why are we getting the data like this? Or is it correct?
Think it's correct.
Right. It is correct only. I mean, it's not wrong. That's what I was telling you in the beginning. Because, see, we have placed our condition basis the order date, not the ship date. Ship date might be different than order date. And that is what is happening here. If you replace this ship date with your order date, then you'll get it you know everything within this condition. That's what is happening now. So you need to be sure that what fields you are using, is it the same field on which the condition is based out of, or is it something else? So that you need to be sure of, right? As of now it is year, that's why you're getting only one dot. If you convert this into maybe month, you'll get some trend over there. Okay, so your start date and end date is kind of functional now. Whatever date you select over here, let's say if you go ahead and select some other date, maybe something in 2018, accordingly your numbers will change. Maybe 17. Yes, here we go. Because it is monthly format or pattern what we have taken, we'll get accordingly. It's 2016 to 2019. In case you want, you can change it into day format, and then you'll get it like this, right? So two type filters basis date. One is like we can give any nth month, like not nth month, I would say. It is last n months. You can apply this on last n number of years, n number of weeks, n number of days in all format, right? And then you have another one. This is like start date and end date pattern. Any confusion here in either of the scenarios?
Vision.
Okay. So on top of this view, I have a question, and that question is like this particular day, what you get over here, right? This day, right? This is what is visible to me as a developer. As soon as we did it full screen, this is the same what user is going to get. So in that case, if user wants to change it into monthly format or daily format or yearly format, how would they do it? Can they do it? Or if not, can we provide them some flexibility so that they can change it by their own? Can we implement any solution around it? Are we getting the question?
Mm,
Yeah,
As a
the user.
user, yeah, please go ahead.
No, the user required change his dates if we want the format.
No, I'm asking user to change the format this time. I mean, right now it is coming as dates, right? But let's say user want to see it by monthly. What do they need to do in that case? Can they do it? Or can we provide some flexibility to them that they can change it? Okay. One way user can do it, right? That way is if you see it is your date field, right? You get a minus icon over here. If you click on it, you get it by, I believe this is weeks. If you change it, further click on it, you'll get it by month. If you further click on it, you get it by quarter. And if you further click on it, you'll get it by years. That is one of the way. If user is not that tech savvy, they might look for a parameter over here that if I select maybe radio button or a drop down, like if I select monthly, I should get monthly format. If I get yearly, right? If I select yearly, I should get the yearly format. Can that be the business demand, right? That can be. So how to implement that format? Any guess? Guys, speak. How can I give user a leverage or option or function through which they should be able to kind of select the format they want to see the data in? Right. These features will always be there, but again, it is not for everyone. If you're not tech savvy, or if people kind of hesitate clicking on the small icons like this, it might create some problem. So over there, we need to give them one parameter, and through that parameter, they can change the values, right? So let me go ahead and create one parameter. And in that parameter, I'll give, let's say, I will say select date range. Select date range. We'll say it as string. And over here, we need to give the list. That list will be maybe, let's say yearly. It could be quarterly, could be monthly, or it could be daily. Sorry, weekly first, and then daily data. Right? These are the values what we can give to users. If we
Yeah.
do so, if we do so, we'll get this parameter over here, and user can select any of the value. If I want, I can give them in form of a radio button, so they can choose any of the value, and accordingly they will see the required format. But now the question, the toughest implementation is how I'm going to change the format basis the parameters. Can I change the format using my parameter? Is it possible? Right over
Yes,
here, all yeah, Lakshmi, please speak.
so using calculated value, we can use the coding this particular.
Right, right. So exactly, we are going to follow the same pattern. First of all, calculated field, and then we'll use that calculated field in the visualization. So using parameter will work on our calculated field. So I'll go
Yes,
ahead and create one calculated field, and we'll call it as, let's say, date format. And over here, what I'll do, first of all, we have yearly. So I will say if select date range, basically my,
yes,
okay,
that's
we have
that,
given select date range. Let me just rename it. Select date format, right? So if it is related to select date format, we'll say date format. Over here, we'll say if select date format is equal to yearly. Now, because it is text, we need to take in inverted quotes. If it is yearly, we need to be sure of the spellings. What we have in the parameter as a value, we need to take the same spelling over here, so that parameter and calculated field will communicate to each other. So if select date format is equal to yearly, then I want to see the year out of my order date. Correct?
yes,
Else if select date format, if this is quarterly, right? Then what do we want? We want quarter. Do we have any function related to quarter? What is this quarter? Okay, it gives you the quarter out of date. So let's use it. It says quarter out of your order date, right? Else if select date format is equal to monthly, then we want month of your order date. Finally, one more thing. So else if select date format is equal to weekly, then we want to see the week of order date. And last, we want to see the daily, which means we want to see the date format, or we want to see actual the order date and end the condition. Fine. Sounds clear? We have given the condition for each date format or each individual value of parameter,
Yeah.
but it gives me error. It says expected type integer found date, result type if expression must match.
Infinite.
Yep. What should I do? I'll show that once again. It says expected type integer found date, which means whatever outputs we are giving, out of that it says expected type is date, sorry, integer, but it has given date somewhere. So date is coming only from this, right? Order date
From the last one. Yeah.
from the last one. All other returns are of my integer. So whether it is year, it's kind of integer. If it is quarter, it's integer. If it is month, it's integer. If it is week, it is integer. So I cannot convert date into integer or integer number into date, right? That I cannot do. What can I do is, or what should we do in order to convert them into same data type? What are the alternatives we have? One
We have
alternate
date.
is, yeah, one alternate is like we can convert this order date into value. That will be a number, but the number nobody will be able to understand. Getting? What I mean is, let's say if I just select this as, okay, we don't have over here, do we have any, let's say we change this in integer. I'm not sure what number I'm going to get. Choose the valid number because everywhere we are getting the integer,
Integer.
right? But let's see if we have got it. Let's see that what it comes over here. Order, I'll, sorry, quarter of order date, I'll remove this and we'll take my date format, right? Okay, so it shows me some number. See the date format, what it shows? 78,690. I'm not sure what it is. For year it shows, I don't know what number this is. 48,87,194 in the date format. Is it making any sense or is it useful? No, right?
No.
We cannot use this thing. So what easiest way we do, we'll go ahead and convert this date format into strings, right? What I'll do, I'll simply type str before every function so that we get our output in string format. This is the workaround so that we get all our values, unique values basically. There should not be any kind of aggregation. Even for order date, I will not take integer, I will take str as string. Correct? Again, it shows the calculation is valid. We'll say apply and OK. So this time you see that this is failed because it was sum over here. Now, as we converted the value into integer, sorry, string, sum is not possible. So that's why it is giving the error. So what I will do, I'll cancel it, remove it, and I'll drag that field once again, which is, it was date format. I'll drag it once again. Now if you see, it is year, it shows 16, 17, 18, 19. If I do quarterly, it will show you 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do monthly, it will show me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 12. If it is week, it will show me from 1 to 52. And if it is daily, it is going to show me the individual date. Right?
So these are all accumulated of the 4 years.
Correct. So which means my quarterly, monthly, and weekly are still wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Only daily and yearly is correct, but quarterly, monthly, and weekly are still wrong because it sums up all the 4 years into these categories. So how and what do we do in order to remove that aggregation? Any bright idea?
We have to change the start date and end date. Then only you can get it.
Start date, end date is for limiting your data. So maybe if I just select, let's say 2017, I'll get less data. See, monthly wise it is fine, but yearly, you might not get all the years. See, only 17, 18, 19. So it is restricting your data or filtering out your data. That's it. There is nothing related to the filters for start date and end date.
No, if quarter has to return quarter number and quarter year date, then it will not aggregate, I believe. If quarterly, when we select the return value should not be quarter. If the return value is entire quarter, aggregating. If we
Right.
read the return quarterly, if we select, it should be that particular year and quarter, then it will not aggregate because it will be a different value. Even for the month also same and week also same, then it will not.
Correct. So what we'll do, we'll concatenate year with quarter, month, and week. Got it? So we'll take this formula from here, copy, and put it with let me say plus. Then I need some hyphen between, and then plus. So this is exactly what I'll put with all the values, whether it is related to quarter, or it is related to month, or it's related to week. I just copy pasted those values so that I get a combination
Even
of year. Yeah, can you please come
that should
again?
be, no, that should be for a day, right? That can
I didn't get.
no,
Actually, your voice is breaking. I couldn't hear well.
no, the concatenation we should add to daily also, right?
In case of daily, we already have date, right? Actual date.
No, otherwise dates will be aggregated, right? All the dates of the
No.
years.
No, no, you are
Oh,
getting all individual dates, right? It's like
oh,
1st
oh,
Jan 2020, 2nd Jan 2020, like that.
I get it.
Okay. So as soon as we apply and okay, now if I go to quarterly, year and quarter combination. Year and quarter combination. If I go for monthly, I will have year and month combination. If I go by weekly, we'll have year and week number combination. For daily, it's as usual, dates. Right? Now there could be another question. We are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for months. Why can't we get it Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July? What do we need to do in order to get the names?
Should be a function.
What is that function?
Uh,
We need a name of function which can return me month names.
okay.
So over here, if you see, there are some function related to date. What is date name? See, if you type date name month, it returns you April because here it is 4. There is one date part also, but it returns the number. So we actually need date name, right?
Yeah.
So in order to show that, we'll use date name over here. So now only one of these you will use. Either if you want, you can keep it quarter, or simply at the place of this type, let's say date name, date part it says month, and then you take date, that's nothing but your order date. Is asking the start of week, but that's an optional value. You can leave it if you want and apply. Okay, I think I changed the quarterly one. Yes, I changed the quarterly. I need to put it over here. And for quarter, what I'll do, I'll go by that only because in quarter we don't have any name. It is just first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So we can take it like Q, and then we'll take quarter, and over here we'll again take the order date. We converted that into str, so I'll follow the same pattern. Apply. Okay. So for quarterly, you are getting 2017 Q2, Q3, Q4, and for monthly, you get the month names, year and month name, right? And weekly, you can get, if you want, you can come here, and for this, you will get like, let me put something related to this W, week. It will tell you week 1, week 2, week 3, like that. Everything is fine. Daily looks fine to me, weekly looks fine to me, quarterly looks fine to me, weekly looks fine to me. Still there is some problem with monthly. Do you know what? What's the problem with monthly data?
Is it a sequence?
Right. So as soon as we converted this into a string, I mean, as soon as we got the month names, until it was sequence, it was, I mean, until it was a number, it was fine. But as soon as we converted this into month name, my sequence or order got disturbed. Now 2017 data starts from August. It's in alphabetical order,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? So
Because
that is not good. That's not good. So can we correct it? Is there a way to correct it?
convert that string to integer.
Right. That earlier it
But
was like that only, right? So it was correct.
but how we want as a word form. That's it should
Mhm.
be a character. Then
Yes. Then what should we do? We'll go ahead and kind of maybe we create another calculated field and we'll give months. Basically, we'll say month or year combination. And here, let me give, yeah, year of order date, and we'll take month, month of order date. Maybe if you want, you can do plus, or maybe if you want, you can convert this into str. I believe it should be fine. Right, so we created one calculated field, and now I'll use this calculated field also over here. So yes, sorry, not this one. I need to take my order. So one problem we got it. It's coming as adding those numbers. STRs and STRs. Now you are getting this at least in the right order. 7, 8, 9, then 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9. Okay, until 9 there is it's fine, but after that it is converting the 10, 11, 12 over here. It gives that number over here. Okay, okay. There is a function called date value. My order. Do we have date value over here? Parts, time, trunk, date. Okay, now this is in order, right? This particular field, my order date. And what if I just go ahead and hide it? Hide in the sense show header. So everything you will get in the order now. Looks correct? So what we did, we kind of converted, we kind of took one more field over here related to the dates, right? And we simply kind of hide the order of that. So we have taken that in the order and we have hidden the header of that so that we can see everything in the right order according to that field. It's your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. That is also going to be in order. And then you have yearly. Okay. Now it shows you Because it is yearly, we have taken this field, you are getting different. Still you are getting the individual value for this order date. Okay. Still there is some little bit visualization issue, but they are in the right orders, right? You're getting these problems, right? What I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, yeah,
In terms of date, you come across these challenges, right? Now, better would be how to kind of solve this. Because see, date format we got it. There is no issue with that. Or I think we can go with your thought now. At the place of this order date, right? You mentioned that we can create duplicate field.
yeah.
So I'll create duplicate field, and within that we'll simply kind of take everything as
Integer.
integer the way we had earlier. So yeah, maybe not integer, but it was working earlier, right?
Yeah,
So month of order date, and we'll convert this into str. Okay, sometimes these small things kind of
yeah.
will take a lot of time. So now we can take the same field over here, and we can hide the header. So it's yearly, fine. If it's quarterly,
Right.
still okay. If it is monthly, Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, okay. And then weekly, all right. What happened in the weekly? It looks correct to me.
Yeah,
I
but
think
you
it's
have to
correct
Actually,
to me.
you have to take less than true.
Yeah, that's what. So let me take, if it's say 18, December 18 or some date.
yeah,
Yeah, correct. Okay, so these were the couple of scenarios which actually I wanted to take everyone through. So what we did, number one, as of today, we kind of got last n months, n number of months. You can just put any number over here. You will get the last those months in your data. The same thing can be changed for days, weeks, or years. It is just you need to have a different field or maybe different condition altogether. Then over here, we kind of used the start date, end date pattern. We were able to give the ranges for our date, so the minimum date and the maximum date. And then we were able to use this parameter basis which we were able to kind of convert our year, month, or quarterly format. And over here, like both the things are applicable, your range as well as your date format. Correct? You can show it in, if you wish, you can show this in the drop down list, or if you want, you can show it into your radio button. Fine. Any questions here or any doubts? If you think what, where else we can implement this? Right? The same thing can be done in trend also. So we can just go ahead and duplicate it, and maybe I can, at the place of segment, I'll just put it on color. So you'll get it like this, and then we can convert this into trend. So basically, if you convert this into trend, it's okay. Okay. You can't create a continuous trend over here. The reason being, each values are distinct. You're getting for month, you're getting for quarter and year, but the trend, like you want to show the line, that's kind of a little difficult because your dates are of different format. Do you agree? See, these things are not enabled in this situation. It is all about the date, because of the date. Now, one thing will be possible. Let's say if I just remove this one, this format, then it's possible. Okay, so what happened over here? Segment, copy, sales, and if you take it, yeah, here we go. I just removed that particular date, because of which we are getting the distinct, I mean the date with the names of month of names. Now we are getting everything fine. Okay, any questions here? Lakshmi, you were saying something.
No, why we took date format copy? We can use directly, right? Format.
In format, we have that month, right? Text field, text format.
Okay.
Because of this, it was creating problem. The sorting was also because of this, and the trend was also kind of discontinuous. So that's why we just removed that, and now you are getting a continuous trend.
Okay. When we use calculated field, show me charts will not show normally.
No, it will show. It depends the kind of field you have created, the calculated field. These are my calculated fields only. Even if you go here under measure, so under measure, let's say rank, it will show you. See, the required charts will be enabled. This is the field. Okay. Any other application of date related functions or date parameter, date filter, do you see? We can talk about dates furthermore.
No, this is basically used for the extraction of the data, right? The range will be normally whenever we get a data, the dates will be in Excel sheet, the start date and end date. That it
Mhm.
will be automatically selected and it will be extracted. When we use incremental load, is that the scenario that will we have just created?
See, over here, I'm not talking about incremental load and all. It is basically for the user perspective. Let's say user want see you. Let's say you created one trend, or maybe you are showing this cross table over here. Now, user want to see or do some analysis on the screen, and wherein they want to see only limited data. So by doing so, you are giving a capability to end users, because these parameters will be available to end user, and they can select whichever date they want. Accordingly, they will see the data. You have the complete data in Tableau, right? You have
Yes.
complete data in Tableau, but out of that data, users are filtering this much, right? Now there is a way, like you can even get only this data, what user is selecting as a parameter. You can get only this data from database. Do you know how?
That we have to put that select statement in the data source. No, that's
Exactly. For SQL Server and other databases, you can apply, even let me see. I think it is possible here also. Data source filters. Okay. Let's see if it is possible. We have taken date filter, order date. So order date, it gives only this one. Okay. Over here, you don't have any parameter option for, you don't have any parameter options for filter, right? Here it's not possible, but in case if it is SQL Server, right, you get the place to write queries, and over there you can use these parameters, these parameters, and filter databases that. Yeah. In case of SQL, you don't Excel, you don't have option. I'm just looking at it. No.
So this is for extracted data.
Yeah, this is for extracted data,
Live data we might have.
but still you don't have any option for SQL connection. If you connect it to, let me just try. Okay, I'll just connect to one SQL Server database, and then we can take a look. So SQL servers. I'll just get the server name.
Data loading to the reports will happen normally daily basis or weekly basis.
See, again, it depends. It depends on your business requirement. There are reports which you refresh on weekly basis. There are few reports which you need to refresh on daily basis, right? There would be some reports which you need real time. So it depends, like, it depends on the business requirement. And accordingly, you will kind of implement the logic. Give the live connection to everything is not recommended always, right? So let's say select database. I'll select one database, and over here, let's say under adventure works, let's say I have sample superstore over here. Also, I put some data. This is the same data what we were looking at. So what I will do, I'll just take this data in terms of query. I'll say new custom query, and I will write SQL select star from sample superstore. It won't let me type. Let me say sample superstore. Okay. If you see here preview results, you will see that data. Now what I want a condition to be written where where order date. So you need to be sure with the fields order date between
Start date.
your start date and end date. In that case, you cannot take extract. You should always take live connection,
Yeah, I think the query might.
right? Because whatever values you will select over here, accordingly your data will change, right? Let me do one thing. I don't know whether I covered multiple joins over here, but just one thing over here, what I'm going to do today, till now, whatever charts we created using
So,
Superstore.
store, yeah.
Superstore Excel file, right? But no, I will not do it right now. Otherwise, all the calculated field which I created here, they will go away,
Off, yeah.
right? So will not do that. What I'll do, I'll just create a replica of maybe some chart, even this only. Let me just create a copy. And then for this particular sheet, I will use this data source,
Oh. Can we change
right?
those?
No, I cannot. I can change it for the entire workbook.
Oh.
Okay. That's a problem. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll just clear everything from here, and we'll select this one. We'll take order date from SQL. We got the order date. We'll take sales We'll take segment the way we have segment on colors, and we'll kind of show our start date and end date parameters. Parameters will be common for all the visualizations in the workbook. So we can take it here. Now this visualization, sorry, not filters. We'll convert this into month and year format, right? I'll go ahead and why it's coming like this.
No, I think the query that we have used is wrong. I think the extraction query that SQL server
Uh-huh.
is start date and end date are correct in the query that what we have given while extracting the table.
Just a minute.
Manual
Yeah,
query that
maybe you're right, because right now if you see, we get only 2016 and 17. Sorry, 16 and 19, but data point it shows 2019 only. Let's see. I'll go ahead and edit the data source, edit query.
was
Okay,
end date
yes,
and end.
yes. So it should be between start date and end date. Start date and end date. Update. We'll go to our last sheet. Yeah, here we go. Right? So
Yes.
even users can control the data coming from your actual source. Now the problem with this or such implementation will be, number one, your data is live, right? You're connected to live data source, and let's say there are 10 users who are working together on different systems, and they are accessing the same dashboard. There would be huge load on your data source, number one, and number two, this visualization is going to be very slow then. Do you understand, right? Why?
Yeah, because every user is connected to the same database and database burden will be high.
Correct. So that's a kind of challenge will happen if you use parameters in on the data source level and you kind of give the live connection. So these are the challenges which will come across. But other than that, you are getting the limited data whatever you need for users. So analysis perspective it is fine. But yes, optimization perspective it is not good. It will be slower. Right? So what else? Any other thing related to dates,
Okay,
parameter, filter?
one question that's
Hmm.
not related to date actually. So since
Mm-hmm.
you brought two data sources, different platforms, that
Yeah.
is Excel and SQL,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible? Okay, you can take the Excel region and the sale from SQL Server.
Yeah, we can do that.
Join condition.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Actually, that concept is called data blending.
yeah,
If you're getting your data from two different sources and you try to join them here, right, on the data view level, that concept is called data blending. Right. I have not joined my data yet. I'll try to fetch information. Okay. I have not joined, but still I will try to fetch information. So let's say from Superstore I get region, and then from, okay, one more thing before I go there. If you see, as soon as I dragged data source from this particular data field from this particular data source, it turned into blue. That means it became my primary data source for this sheet. For this sheet, this is the primary data source, and as soon as we'll bring something from here, it will be my secondary data source. So we wanted sales over here. Now we'll drag it now. Okay. It seems it is already, the blending is already done. Over here, if you see, like, this is already kind of orange or red color, which means the join is already there on place. right? In case this join is not active, you just click over here, it will turn into gray color. You will get the same data for each category,
Oh,
right? Do you know why it happens?
the blending is not happened, and
Right.
in the blending itself, the join condition is created.
No, that is true. Blending is also a kind of join only. It's a kind of left join, right?
Okay.
But the difference between actual join and blending is like join works on the record level, right? It could be one to many to many, or one to one, that kind of relationship. But in blending, it happens again. I mean, it is again one to many, right? But the problem over here is in case of blending, aggregation happens first and then you get your data. So this number what you are getting, it is already been aggregated on this data source level, and then you are getting your data. Until unless you will not enable the blend or just join, you will keep getting the complete aggregated data from there. As soon as you kind of enable this join, then this aggregation will happen on the blending or joining criteria level. Still, aggregation is happening first and then you are bringing that data here, right?
So if we have
Now
another source of data from Oracle, then also we can join another column from.
you need to have some common columns. So over here, actually what Tableau has done, if you see, you are getting this link icon against these many fields, right?
Yes.
So what Tableau has done, it has automatically identified the common columns, and against that it is showing the link option. In case, let's say Tableau is not able to identify that, what you can do is you can go here, edit blend relationship. If you click here, you will see your primary data source and secondary data source. Primary data source and secondary data source. And you will see all the columns basis which Tableau can join your data. So not only the actual columns, but their alternates or derivatives also. For example, order date. It has created order date, quarter, weekdays, week, ISO week, year, all that related to order date and ship date. We really don't need all these things, right? So what we would prefer, Tableau has done this. I mean, it's already correct. It's not wrong. But in case you feel that you need to change something, you're not okay with this particular join, or you want to kind of add extra column, you can go to custom, and over here you can define your own columns. So maybe what I will prefer generally, I'll remove all these columns which are derivatives of dates. I'll delete those. Maybe I don't want all these things. And then, so city versus city, region, customer ID, customer name, order date, right? This is this you can join. So out of these fields, you are getting these links icon. As of now, this number you are getting basis as soon as you join basis region. You can take any other field, for example, let's say subcategory. Okay. This subcategory I'm getting it from custom query, right? Because I'm getting it from custom query, that's why you are getting it like this. Let me region. Sorry. I just removed everything. We'll take it. First of all, Superstore. We had region earlier. This time I'm going to take category and subcategory, or maybe we can take product hierarchy. That's best. Product hierarchy from Superstore, and from AdventureWorks we will take sales. So if you see here, you are getting furniture, office supplies, technology. You expand it, you are getting these numbers. If you expand it further, you will get it from on the product level number. But you might notice that it is little slow. if you have all the fields in one data source or if the fields are coming from two different data sources. As many fields you have dragged here, you are getting those many fields and this enabled icon against those. You can enable it on all of them. It will make your join stronger. The more conditions you will use, you will get better, values. But yes, it will be a little slower. So we'll talk more about this concept as well as on LOD, because I think yesterday somebody asked that question related to LOD. So maybe in tomorrow's session we can continue from this topic and we'll go to LOD and some other calculations.